how gorgeous is that? All that comfortable seating out next to the canal. So green. Our mission today, there's two missions. One is suggested by a subscriber that I have from the previous video, and I'll link the previous video, was my apartment tour. He wanted to see the neighborhood, and I thought that's a really, really cool idea. I've got all these places that I'm still getting accustomed to because I've just moved to Kyoto about 2 months ago, but today, kind of unintentionally, we've come out at golden hour, so it's going to be really beautiful. The second goal that we have today, I've got all these things starting up again that I want to do, aspirations, goals, dreams, and a lot of them are coming online, but one yet that was still to come to fruition was studying Japanese. And just the other day, when I went to meet one of my new friends here, or not new, I've been hanging out for a bit, but since I live here now, closer friends, he took me to this amazing Uzu vegan ramen place, which is going to be the next Wow to You video. But we met at this Starbucks that's up by Sanjo, and Sanjo is the bridge, or the road which has the bridge there, and it was so cool, and you get this view out over the river. So I wanted to take you guys there. When I say my neighborhood, it's kind of the surrounding vicinity. Like, you might say a neighborhood is your kind of like 4 or 5 blocks or whatever, but these are places that I frequently go each day, so I still consider them my neighborhood. And there would be no walk in Kyoto that would be complete without also taking you to the part of the Kamigawa that I walk along. But first, there's these streets relatively near, without absolutely doxing myself, I've gone some ways away from my home, but relatively close, that are these beautiful, picturesque machiya being the traditional buildings that you find here, streets where either side, all the way down, that's what you find. And we've already arrived. If you've patiently been listening this long, we've already got there. So I'll turn it around and let's give you a look at this neighborhood here. And there's like 2 or 3 streets that continue on this way as we head up towards the Starbucks that I'll go to. Gorgeous, right? Even the road that we're on here is really, really nice. Really like this. Yeah, a lot of these, to be fair, like this for example, a lot of them have been adapted into guest homes. And you can imagine with the state of the world right now that guest homes are not doing so well. So people have had to find alternative businesses and different ways of making money, which is good, because I think it's kind of one-dimensional thinking that assumes the only good use for these old, beautiful buildings is to turn them into guest homes. You could turn them into any sort of eatery, a cafe, a coffee roastery. I mean, they're so beautiful. Some of them are, obviously, these are very well maintained, some of them restored, so what you're looking at isn't ancient, but they've definitely retained the design. A lot of little beautiful gardens out front. He's like that little tree there. Very cool, right? So this is coincidentally as well the direction that I would go if I were going to the gym. So I pinch myself every single day and remind myself never, ever, ever to grow used to this. Because if you grow used to this kind of beauty, then I think that you're numb to a lot of what you could potentially see. This is the second street we're going to go down now, and I would say it's like more so. Even beautiful than the previous. I love it in Japan, that sort of like close, cloistered, the buildings kind of hanging over the side situation. But this is super well maintained. This doesn't have like any grunge to it at all. So let's check it out. I'll turn it around and you can see again. More, yeah, like a guest house here again. And you can kind of get some sense of it. This is not an inner garden, but like a mini garden. Some little alcove. Retains everybody's privacy because you get that wall. But then they'll have all sorts of plants that are grown on the other side. And then if you go further back, there'll be an inner garden in the homes. I'll stop for a moment just so we're not always moving, but like look at it. Look at How picturesque is that? Little wind chimes. Oh, it's great. Really, really nice. So once I get us past these streets here, oh, little shrine right there. Once I get us past these streets, then we'll go down to the river. And you can see the area that precedes where we'll eventually end up. And it's probably one of the most popular places. Such nice light right now. One of the most popular places for people to grab a drink. That's something so different from Canada and Japan, obviously, is that they allow public drinking here. And that is a match made in heaven when you have drinking next to a river. Like, Canadians may still do this. Don't tell anyone, we might do that. But the fact that it's permissible and it can be out in the open and liquor is sold in every convenience store, it is the time-honored thing to do here in Kyoto, that you would go to the convenience store, you grab a few items to eat, and then you go and sit down by the river. And especially at these times right now, like it's severe lockdown in Osaka, especially times like these, it's so nice to have that as an alternative when everywhere else is shut down. You can just go by yourself to the river and still have a great social experience. You don't have to be totally locked out from having fun. This is a really nice section too. Gorgeous, right? I could just love, it's like something out of a painting, I think, anyways. I think one of the big things that I enjoy so much is how much they use wood. Wood has so much character, so much color, and it's naturally often the color of candlelight, which is a very comforting tone. So there you have it. That's like the first 5 minutes. I just kept recording, didn't I? This is the first little bit of my walk, heading to the gym, and then I would cross over to get to the other side. And I want to show you that because once we get over to that other side, where before if I had gone more towards like the center, the major roads that you could take heading towards where I'm going, there's canals, but the canals are only accessible to view from like one side. You couldn't walk on either side of them. And the sort of like restaurants that you find there, they're more like high class, everything very chic. And for that reason, they kind of have this almost invisible wall. When I say invisible wall, I mean there's kind of a sense of intimidation. Like, I don't know how much money I have to spend to go here. Is it invite only? That's a thing that happens in Kyoto. But when you go further up in the direction that we're going to go, it becomes more, it's beautiful. It gets more beautiful, in my opinion, the way that the canals are. I'll show you guys all of that. But it's also way more like chill, low-key. The restaurants that are there very clearly are not ones that are going to charge you a couple $100s per head if you go into them. And it just so happens that the canals are even nicer there. It's not a place that I've spent a lot of time, but I would like to spend more because it's so nice. So yeah, we'll be getting to the river soon. And here we are. No tour of Kyoto is complete without including parts of the Kamogawa in it. So for me, when I was looking for a place here, that was one of the things that was super high priority. I wanted to be close to where it was that I would be working, or sometimes working. But second to that only, in proximity to where I wanted to be for work, I wanted to be near the river, because there's just something about the atmosphere here, like it's so integral. It's so like, if you're going to be in Kyoto, this is Kyoto. It's the river. That's the whole experience of it, and so much that goes along with it. And it's not easy because obviously living next to any sort of water is very desirable. So if you do that, you can expect that you're going to pay a little bit of a premium. But if you look hard enough, like I did, with the help of my friend, then you are very, very likely to find something. And the sort of hot tip that I gave in my apartment tour video, which again, should be in a card here somewhere if you want to check that out, was that if you're cool with living in an older building, then you can save a ton of money. The only thing that you have to do to make sure that that doesn't become a detriment to your lifestyle is make sure it's a well-maintained building. And a lot of them are, mine included. So you can live close to the river, not have to pay like $1,000 a month or something, and you get all the character that goes along with living in an older building. So this is one of the super popular spots right here. And it's got, this is cool, I discovered this recently. I'll put in some B-roll or something like that. There's this kind of like, much more like colonial European looking building here on the river. And on the top, my buddy who loves to come here during the sakura season, during spring, to check out all the cherry blossoms, he discovered there's an amazing Chinese restaurant there. So yeah, this is one of these places. You can see all of the people over here. Everybody's like grab their drinks. They got a little bento box and they come and chill next to the river. And then, tilt this up a bit, you look over at that guy right there, and that's this traditional, as I say, more like colonial British style building. If I knew the history better, I'm sure I could regale you with interesting stories about why that is like it is. And then to the right, we can't see it, but it's up here, is this like really, really famous kabuki theater. Cool fact, like one of the interesting things when you go into that building, you notice this with they don't even have to be that much older, but just older buildings. The ceilings and like archways are so much lower because people were smaller back then, and Japanese people especially. But yeah, really, really beautiful. And it's got these kind of like mini waterfalls here, which I'm sure you saw when I flipped it around there. When I get to the other side, I'll show you the people as well. They're all chilling on the other side here. And obviously right now there's a lot less tourists, naturally, as you'd expect. But I think, as far as I'm told, even when the tourists are here, finding a cool spot along the river has never become an issue, which is amazing to me because it's not a small city, yet the real estate, the seating that you would find along here is never in such short supply that you feel like you're not going to be able to find a spot because it's bitty, extremely bitty, because it's busy. Super cool. So yeah, we'll continue along here. This is actually another reason I wanted to be a part of like the lifeblood of the city for runs too. I would come from way back there and I would run all this way when I go for runs in the morning, and then I cross over. There's these stones that you can use, and I cross over the stones later on down that way. It's about, I do about a 7K run, so 3.5 that way, 3.5 this way. So yes, look at them all chilled out next to the river. It's a good way to go. It's a good way to be. Not exactly my favorite part of Kyoto, but we've crossed the river now and we're heading northward past that sort of colonial structure, and we're on this street now. It's called PONTOCHO. I think I'm saying that right. I'll put the correct one below what I just said. And this is quite famous. Super narrow, really comes alive at night, and it's just wall-to-wall restaurants on either side. I've heard of people, this can be a bit of a tourist trap if you don't know where to go, but if you find the right place, this is one of these great spots where every single one of these restaurants is overlooking the river. So in the evening, for lunch, anytime really, if you wanted to have that riverside experience, you can have it going along here. I'll turn it around the camera so you can see how absolutely narrow it is, which is part of the selling point here. You can see just enough room. This gets pretty crazy if you have a bunch of tourists here. But yeah, here's something interesting. They are mandated to have a particular color temperature to everything that you see here in terms of the lights that they hang, to create that sort of warm, atmospheric mood that you find here. As soon as I can now, I'm gonna dart over, because it was at the cost of showing you this that we're missing some of the canals that I was talking about liking so much. I was gonna say, I can't believe it's already been 2 months since I've been here. Living in Kyoto, that is, but Actually, I can believe that, and it doesn't feel like that much time, which is awesome. The fear now, since basically my job is to be creative, to make videos, to engage with you guys, the only thing that I need to be careful of while enjoying these neighborhoods is not to become complacent. You don't realize it until you get that bit more freedom, that it's not just whatever day job you have that's holding you back. It's the sort of human tendency towards the path of least resistance. Not saying like it's really difficult to hold yourself accountable and make sure that you study your Japanese, make cool videos, engage with people who find what it is that you're making interesting. But it's definitely there. When you have nobody knocking on your door giving you an annoying phone call in the morning because you didn't get up early enough, the temptation to sleep in can be very strong. But of course, the remedy to that, make sure I don't hurt anybody, the remedy to that is to make sure that you establish healthy habits. Habits like go to bed on time, get up early enough, eat well. These things that become increasingly important, especially the older that I get. What a beautiful neighborhood. I want to spend more time here. It's wonderful here regardless. Like, there's lockdown stuff, no serving alcohol, blah, blah, blah. But it will be something else once all of that's lifted and we can go out more. I'm sure everyone around the world is excited for that. It's not just me. I was gonna go directly over to the Starbucks, but then I remembered I've come and visited here before I actually lived here, and there's this beautiful cafe that I want to show you just over here. If you're enjoying something like this, by the way, why don't you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button. So this is like a prime example, sitting next to the canal, having a coffee. It's beautiful. So I'll give you guys kind of the look across here. How gorgeous is that? All that comfortable seating out next to the canal. Hard to imagine a better way to spend a lunchtime. Yeah, suffice it to say, Kyoto's got a lot to offer in the sort of like quality of life, standard of living. Every city's got something, everywhere has something. And Vancouver, I mean, that's a city I lived in most, aside from living in Japan. Beautiful, beautiful city. But if you guys know the story of the Isle of the Lotus Eaters, that's what I compare Vancouver to. It's this idea that this is from like the Odyssey, that old Greek thing, that you go somewhere so beautiful that you never want to leave. But what that means is it prevents you from seeing the rest of the beauty that the world has to offer. And that's what Vancouver is. It can be so nice just to stay there, but I'm so happy to have left that I appreciate it even more when I do go back and I've seen what else that the world has to offer. And now we've arrived. It's cool, like old school broom shop next to this cafe. Oh, and it doesn't look too busy, bonus. So here it is, the Starbucks on the corner here. And then, like I'd mentioned, the Starbucks looks out over onto the river. So many places. You want to look at a river? Come to Kyoto. It's not going to let you down. And you can see people out here on the balcony enjoying a nice cafe latte or something like that. It would be extremely poor taste to film inside of a place like this where I'm talking to the camera. It'd be totally obnoxious. So I'm not going to do that, and I really should get down to my study now. But this is the sort of like mini tour of the neighborhood. I really appreciated the suggestion in the comment. I thought, oh, there's something I can do really quickly. I have a video already planned, but this sort of supplementary stuff that I can do, that I want to show people just how beautiful this city is. So if there's something else you want to see, let me know in the comments down below. I'll gladly, if I have time, get to it. I really appreciate all the support in the last video. You guys were so kind, lots of great observations and sharings in the comment section of the apartment tour. That's all for this one. I already mentioned all that, like subscribe if you want to, kind of stuff. So we'll call it there, and I will catch you in the next. Peace.